The good teams cruise, the bad teams lose, and if you're the Bills or the Ravens, it was the bye week blues. Welcome into Got It Covered as we unpack NFL Week 7. Giovanni Heater alongside Raza Umarani with you. And Raza, some storylines this week. Nothing crazy, though, other than one game in particular that we'll give a deep dive. But it was pretty much standard, right? The good teams won a lot, by a lot. The bad teams didn't win, and you had some good games throughout.
Yeah, it was a big week for favorites. I remember going into Sunday Night Football. I think the only underdog that had won outright was the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. I think in the Sunday slate and also on Monday night, every single favorite won this week. So kind of boring if you're like me and love betting underdogs, because I took my fair share of underdogs, including one that became a favorite later in the week. I got the Cowboys at plus money early in the week before they became favored in the game on Thursday or Friday. So that was an emotional hedge on my part. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those weeks in the NFL where okay, the standard was upheld. Nothing crazy happened in terms of shaking up the league, especially at the top. It's now clear, you've got so many teams that are out 5 and even 6 wins now. And those teams with 3, 4, even 2 or 1 wins are starting to maybe get to mock draft season. And I'm not far behind. So,
well, our launching pad today has to be this unbelievable game between the Broncos and the Giants. 33-32, the final score out in Mile High. The Broncos advanced to 5-2. The Giants dropped to 2-5. I'm still sitting here trying to figure out how the Broncos won this football game. They score 33 points in the fourth quarter after scoring 0 in the first 3 quarters of this football game combined. They complete the comeback. I mean, this game was unbelievable. It had a little bit of everything. It was on something, if you will. You had the tipped passes. One team gets a touchdown each on a carom, right? One in the end zone. The other had run after the catch on top of it. You had Bo Nix and Jackson Dart making mistakes and making plays. You had quite literally a little bit of everything.
You had not just a big blown lead in terms of the Giants being up by, 19-0 going into the fourth quarter. Then you had the Broncos took the lead late in the fourth. Then the Giants took it back.
Yes.
But Jackson Dart scores on that touchdown. They missed the extra point, so they're only up 2 instead of 3.
2 extra points in the game. Yeah. Missed 2.
And then you just knew it was going to happen, where Bo Nix hits a couple shots over the middle, including the one, I think it was to Franklin, that there was another receiver in the area. It very well could have hit somebody else or something, and it ends up going to Franklin. They get in position for a field goal, and of course Will Lutz drills it. And then after that, you had Dre Greenlaw go and not attack, that's a rough word, but he ran after and was chastising a referee. And now he's been suspended a game for it. That was all caught on video. I have no idea what prompted that or anything like that, because I didn't see some sort of controversial call or something to have upset him within the game. But then that's the aftermath of it. Bo Nix was crying on the sidelines. He let out a ton of emotion. Jackson Dart was also clearly very emotional. For a week 7 game, this felt between 2 non-conference opponents, it felt like something out of a movie. I also have to mention this because I thought it was very cool. It felt very Hollywood because this was the game where the Broncos were honoring Demaryius Thomas. They inducted him into their Ring of Fame. They had a bust of his. I'm sure you saw the video that they unveiled outside the stadium, and Demaryius Thomas's mother goes and touches the face, and she's it's seeing him all over again. I felt that was amazing that they were able to win in such dramatic fashion for him. It just kind of felt like destiny. But in terms of the football itself, man, this was the worst football game ever through 3 quarters. I've never seen a fourth quarter like this before. The Broncos scored 33 points. And it still felt like they should have lost because like the Giants punched back with a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'll pose you this question. What is the major takeaway from this game other than the fact that it was bananas?
Honestly, I think the major takeaway from this game is I was really I get that they lost. I was really impressed with what Jackson Dart and the Giants
Yeah,
offense did against that Denver defense, man.
me too.
Like Cam Scadaboo's a beast. Jackson Dart made some really nice plays, had some nice throws. I'm not saying they were flawless, but that was my biggest takeaway is like, all right, the Giants aren't really like fluky. Like they're going to give everybody a run for their money this year, I think.
Yeah.
And they're building something too. I hope they keep Dable.
I think they will.
I think they will too.
I think so much of his job status and security was contingent on the success of Jackson Dart. And I think it's still early, but they're showing enough that like if the season ended today, he would keep his job because I think that he made the right choice at quarterback. Remember, everybody was like, oh, they should draft Shedeur Sanders. And he's like, no, that's not what's going to happen. So I'm also really impressed with them. I also thought their defense was obviously keeping things in check for a while. I don't know how things got so out of hand so quickly. I think it's just one of those games.
3 touchdowns with 7 minutes left.
Like, yeah, they were up 18 to 3 scores with 6 minutes left.
I mean,
teams in that circumstance had won 1,602 games in a row. And this is now the one loss. This is the trivia question. I don't know. It's just it's hard to quantify how something like this is possible. I'm totally with you. I'm impressed by the Giants. I leave still feeling like Denver is a total potato. Okay, your defense is amazing, but Jackson Dart just gave you belt. And I guess we should feel good about the offense because they scored 33 points in a quarter, but I don't. Like, I don't feel good. Why did it take you 3 quarters to score? I'm not trying to disparage this incredible win. Like, I want to give Denver their flowers, but at 5, they're like really lucky to be 5-2.
Oh, and yeah.
Bo Nix is lucky he made the plays necessary down the stretch to put them in a position to win, because through 3 quarters he was going to be put in some uncomfortable conversations on social media. Somebody was tweeting like Bo Nix's second contract with the Broncos is going to be Tua levels of franchise crippling. And regardless of the outcome of that game, I still feel like that's true. I'm not a Bo Nix hater, but I am a Bo Nix doubter. And Denver's a playoff team because they've banked all these early wins. But we all know this team's not going to do anything in the playoffs. So I'm with you. I leave like just feeling way better about the Giants. A little
even though they lost.
Yeah, but they deserve to win.
We knew they're not a playoff team anyway. It's
exactly
more what they're building towards. Yeah.
I also can't say they deserve to win when you give up 33 points in a quarter. But like Dart's clearly got something.
That offense deserved to win. They never stopped. The one thing they did is Dart threw that pick.
Yes, and that was terrible.
That was a horrible pick, I will say.
Really, really a bad interception. But even then, I was like, there's no way they actually lose this game, right? This is just a little too little too late run that the Denver Broncos are going on. But nope, it was it was one of those cases where Denver was like the little guy that's like stumbling and rolling down the hill, and somehow at the end of it like springs up and is on his feet instead of like doing the Peter Griffin lie on the ground. They just fell completely backwards into this. This will be the classic who remembers this crazy game between the Broncos and Giants highlight reel that gets tweeted out every offseason from now until the end of eternity. That's exactly what this will be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a fun football game, but I don't know in the grand scheme what it's going to mean. And I, like we've been saying, walked away thinking more about the Giants than the Broncos, to be completely honest with you. Shall we peek at the rest of the slate?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we started on Thursday night with an actual banger. Out of nowhere. Did not have this one on the bingo card as one of the games of the week, but it was Unk Central. as Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers went at it with one of the best quarterback duels of the season thus far.
Yeah, the Unk Bowl, the Icy Hot Bowl. I heard a lot of different names for this one.
The icy
Everybody,
hot bowl. My dad said that the next morning, and I was like, "Where'd you see that?" Because I know you didn't come up with that.
yeah, you're not funny enough to come up with that on your own, mate. Come on. This was one of the better games of the year. Like between the late game heroics of like, I thought the Steelers had it when Aaron Rodgers rolled out and hit Pat Fryermuth, who runs it in for a touchdown. Like that felt like vintage
Yes.
Rodgers. I thought the Steelers had it. The Steelers defense just getting absolutely torched. Jamar Chase buddy ball with Joe Flacco was absolute cinema. The dude had 23 targets, 16
Insane.
catches for 160 yards and a score. Like,
Which we knew was going to happen.
exactly. When you bring in a
You
guy
can't
like Joe
stop it.
Flacco, they're like, you're just going to feed number one. And it was slant, 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 out, out, out. It wasn't anything deep or anything crazy. They abused Jalen Ramsey. Like, Jamar had the touchdown on Jalen Ramsey that got called back, and then they just went right back to him the next play, and he scored on Jalen Ramsey. My two main takeaways here are that Pittsburgh was also a bit of a Trojan horse, I think, and it's still early, but like even at 4-1, nobody was taking them seriously. I still don't really take them seriously. There's a reason why Vegas still thinks the Ravens are in this division race because nobody trusts or cares or believes in the Steelers. I think my other takeaway here is like, is Flacco going to be able to keep the ship afloat to maybe keep the Bengals in the playoff race to where if Joe Burrow can come back in like December, maybe they can make a push because the AFC sucks.
They should have done it sooner is the problem. Would they waste 3 weeks with Browning?
Yeah, pretty much.
They should have done it sooner. I mean, they're 3-4 right now.
In a bad conference.
In a bad conference. The climb is still division. Uphill.
It is, but in any case, I got a huge kick out of this. I gotta say, like everybody on Twitter was like, "Man, seeing these old heads sling it is like we really got away from this style of football."
Yeah,
we totally did. We totally did. Like, there's the age of like 6'4" quarterbacks sitting back in the pocket and slinging it are done.
It doesn't happen.
No, the only quarterback in this modern era, like the only like top tier quarterback in this modern era has that style of play is Jared Goff. And that's why I'll always say, like, we need more Jared Goff types in the league. I remember I've said that about Fernando Mendoza. Like, we need more Goffs in the league. Like, everybody's after mobility and arm angle and this and that, but sometimes you need the unk.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to bring the unk out. So I had a blast watching this game. I also had a pretty nasty lay because everything went over in this game. I took everybody's over and it all smacked instantly. So yeah, this was a fun one. I had a blast.
Let's talk briefly about good teams rolling and keeping hot, right? The Rams, 35-7 win over the Jaguars in London. I thought that was super impressive. The Patriots doing what good teams do, beating up on a bad team, right? 31-13 win over the Titans, who dropped to 1-6. The Chiefs, 31-0 win over a divisional opponent who has given them trouble over the last handful of seasons. They beat up on the Raiders with absolutely no problem at Arrowhead. The Colts end up beating the Chargers 38-24. So they looked pretty impressive. The Packers and the Cardinals, that was certainly an interesting game. The Packers end up making it happen. The Niners beating the Falcons, I think, was the one that I didn't not see coming, but I really thought the Falcons were going to have a good shot. I think I took the Falcons in that game.
Me too.
Just something to be said for the good teams continuing to stay hot, particularly with the Rams there. The Patriots and the Chiefs, I think, really are the big three that laid it on.
I was most impressed by the Rams and the Niners. The Rams because, for starters, they had a very unorthodox travel plan. Like, I'm sure you saw, they didn't get to London until like the day before the game.
That's right.
They practiced so they played last week against the Ravens in Baltimore. They stayed in Baltimore. They practiced the whole week in Camden Yards. And then they flew to London on Saturday to play
What a
on Sunday.
weird setup.
And they dominated.
Yeah.
They dominated a decent team, like a team we think is good, although I think is becoming apparent maybe they're not that good, without their best player in Puka Nacua. So, I mean, Stafford was amazing, 5 touchdowns. Devontae had 3 of them. Turns out when you play buddy ball, this is what happens. So, like, I thought the Rams were very impressive for that reason. And then the Niners, man, I wrote last week, like, yeah, the Niners are still winning, but it's not going to be sustainable because of all the injuries they have.
They're winning.
Maybe it is sustainable. I think obviously Christian McCaffrey deserves the lion's share of credit in terms of like putting the team on his back, though. But do you know who my team MVP for the Niners is this year through 7 weeks?
Maybe, but I'm curious to hear what you say.
Well, it's not a player.
Okay, then no.
It's Robert Saleh.
Yeah. Oh,
like
that's a very fair take. He's putting himself back into head coaching conversations.
Right, but like if I were him, I don't know that I would take it.
No, some people are better coordinators than coaches.
Exactly.
The difference is the pay raise.
Obviously, but like how many times have we seen like Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Spagnuolo, Brian Flores, now Robert Saleh, like no Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa. It's all rookies and second-year players, and he has them playing their tails off. I was very unimpressed with the Falcons, I should say. Like, I thought Penix was dreadful, truly, truly dreadful in this game. And they really did a good job of limiting Bijan Robinson as well. But the way that they got after Penix, like, it was a masterclass of a game plan to rattle essentially a rookie quarterback. And the way that those young guys on defense are playing, they fly around the field. They really nailed this draft, I thought. Like, when your first round pick and Michael Williams has been the quietest of everybody, maybe that's a good thing because your guys like Upton Stout and Alfred Collins are making play after play. Like, Saleh's coaching his butt off. The guys clearly love playing for him. We don't give out an award for assistant of the year, but it would be Robert Saleh. And I think if the season ended today, Kyle Shanahan would be the coach of the year. So those two teams are incredibly impressive.
Can I say something ridiculous about the Niners? I actually feel like they might be better with Mac Jones than Brock
That's not
Purdy.
ridiculous. It's not ridiculous to say that. It's not.
I really think that they're playing better ball offensively with Mac Jones. And all the flowers have to go to the defense because of how stout that they have been and what they're doing it with. But that offense is banged up too. The entire team is banged up. And I've just been so impressed with what Mac Jones has been able to do. And the numbers, it's not really a numbers thing. It's more of an eye test type thing, right? He only throws for 152 yards, doesn't account for a touchdown and has a pick. So,
yeah, I mean, McCaffrey is the reason they won. McCaffrey and the defense are the reason they won on Sunday.
But he's also,
2 weeks ago he put up almost 400 yards against the Rams.
Right.
So it's a little bit of both. I think it's a good problem to have if you're San Francisco because they don't have to rush Brock Purdy back. This isn't like when the Bengals lost to Joe Burrow and they have to go to Browning and Browning's awful.
Right.
Like Jones is a steady hand who also knows his role. He's always saying like, it's Brock's team. It's Brock's team. I'm just doing my job. He is the perfect backup quarterback. So good for them. I also, in that same vein of defense, we have to give a shout out to Kelvin Shepard and the Lions. Dude, their defensive backfield has guys I've never heard of. I'm texting Lions fans that have never heard of like what I don't even know their first names, Whiteside and Hallett, and like, dude, if your most prominent defensive player or your most prominent player in the secondary is Rock Yassin, we've got a bad thing happening. And I understand Tampa's dealing with a lot of their own offensive injuries, but they were dominant. Yeah. Baker had nothing. Baker played like by far his worst game of the year. He looked like Cleveland Baker in terms of how inaccurate he was, how rattled he was.
It's one game. But yeah,
it's one game. But this is about the Lions.
I'm still Team Baker right now.
Oh yeah, no question. But this is again, this is just about the Lions for me.
Yeah.
And then up front, they're so talented. Like they got Aleem McNeil back, and it helped them tremendously. Aiden Hutchinson, you better have 3 guys over there trying to stop him because he's going to get after it. Like if the Lions defense can play like this on a night where their offense was particularly quiet, like again, outside of Jahmyr Gibbs, the Lions and 49ers won in exactly the same way, but like just had different ways of going about it. These defensive coordinators are getting the most out of their otherwise unknown defensive talent and letting the run game kind of do the rest. Like Jahmyr Gibbs and Christian McCaffrey each had over 200 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns. And
Old school football.
the defenses both gave up a touchdown and a field goal. That was it. So like it felt like I watched the same game twice. And that's why I feel so much better about teams like the Niners and the Lions that have coaches that have been there, done that, and assistants that are clearly very good versus like, I hate to say it, but the Eagles, for example, because I still have many doubts about the Eagles offense, but who knows? Like we could talk about that. The Eagles finally, dude. Okay. Every time they're like, yes, Jalen, go ahead, let it rip. It
He
works.
cooks, yeah.
Why don't they do this more?
I don't know. He's actually a good passer.
When they ask him to be, yes, this was against a great defense. I picked the Vikings to win this game because their defense is legit, and Jalen Hurts goes back there and has a perfect passer rating. Smith and Brown combined for what, like 300 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah,
Like
finally, yeah. AJ Brown, 4 catches, 121 yards, 2 tuds. I mean, this was the game you've been looking for out of AJ Brown, right? And then Smith, 9 catches, 183 yards, a touchdown. And then, yeah, to your point, the deep shots, 79-yarder for Smith was the long. AJ Brown with a 45-yarder. The game sealer was that nice ball to AJ Brown to put the stamp on it, get that final first down.
So why don't they do this more often? Because in my opinion, the turning point of the game was like Hurts was being blitzed. The pocket collapses inside. He bounces it outside. They do that patented thing where he hits AJ on the sideline, who comes back to the ball, snags it on the sideline. I'm like, why don't you do this more often if it works? Because I'm always the guy that's like, oh, they don't do it because Jalen Hurts can't throw and they don't trust Jalen Hurts. Then the Rams game happens and this game happens, which makes the Giants game a lot more perplexing. Like,
yeah, and
I think this
in the
is
Super Bowl.
Exactly when the run game was completely limited. I think this is just the perplexing nature of the NFL where matchups are different and this and that and the other. But like, I think this year there's more compelling evidence to suggest that the Eagles passing attack is better when they let Jalen rip it. So this is the best you've got. This has got to be the best we felt about the Eagles all year. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I still wasn't sold on the Vikings offense is the thing. Like Carson Wentz is playing quarterback on the other side. Granted, he did have 313 yards, but he threw 2 picks.
Right, and they could not finish a drive in the red zone to save their lives. Every time they got deep into Eagles territory, they had to settle for a field goal. So I still have my plenty of concerns about the Eagles secondary, which I told you. I've had concerns about the Eagles secondary since we freaking previewed the team in August. And those still exist. But if the Eagles can win shootouts like this, it makes me feel better about their chances to win the division. But just to go back to like I feel like the Lions and Niners and Rams are Super Bowl contenders. I don't think the Eagles are.
This is a shootout. Reason. This is a shootout to you, though. They scored 28 points.
Yeah, this was. I mean, if you watch the game,
was the final. No,
but if you watch the game, they were going.
This was the 1 o'clock game. You know how I always pick one game. Mm-hmm. This was the 1 o'clock game that I watched. I don't like to do this multiple screen. I get too distracted.
I mean, they were going back and forth. Like
they were going back and forth. I did not leave this game. I was not super high. I know you like, and Minnesota does have a good defense. I don't leave a game that you beat Carson Wentz by 6 points feeling like, oh, heck yeah. Like they're back, like put a stamp on it. And I get it's a road game in Minnesota and everything like that. The passing game was there. I still have my concerns though, dude, that Saquon Barkley had 18 carries for 44 yards. In what world is Saquon Barkley averaging 2.4 yards a carry? It's Saquon Barkley.
That's true. I don't think they're back. I would not place them in the upper echelon of their own conference. I wouldn't have them in my own top 10 teams in the league. But it's a performance that inspires more confidence in the offense. Like, if they have to win shootouts, they can. Or junior shootouts, if that's what you want to consider this one. So I'm just saying, just maybe they've unlocked something where they can try and let Jalen air it out.
Yeah.
But again, they tried that last week against the Giants and it didn't work. So I would like to see more consistency first and foremost from the Eagles, but this is a performance that I'm like, okay, I can tip my cap to this one. But the Vikings, to your point, I mean, it's going to be Wentz again on Thursday. Is JJ McCarthy ever coming back? Is JJ McCarthy just a figment of our imagination?
He might be. Didn't he just have a baby?
Yeah, he did before the season started.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe
he's just on paternity leave. I don't know. You mentioned Chiefs.
Dude, they're so good and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I think it was the most dominant performance anybody's had all season. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had nearly 30 completions. Their Raiders ran 30 offensive plays.
That says it all.
That's it. That's all you need to know. I mean, the first half was literally just bang, bang, bang. Here's a quick one to Worthy. Here's a quick one to Rice. Here's a Pacheco run up the middle. Here's a dump off to Brashard Smith. Here's a Mahomes scramble. Here's a Kelsey. And the defense went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like,
they just look like.
Now it is the Raiders.
Again.
It is the Raiders, but Rashee Rice being back makes them feel unstoppable on offense. Plus, with the way Mahomes is playing,
dude, I just don't know who's going to contend with them right now.
Me neither. Like it's
Buffalo doesn't. The only thing that gives me hope, and this is like a slight tangent, the only thing that gives me hope and taking the Bills fan hat off and putting on a journalist hat is like the Bills right now are being talked about as, oh, their problem is they built this team with the 2 high safeties and everything. They've built this team to beat the Chiefs. That's what they've done. They've tried to construct a roster to beat the Chiefs, right? Brandon Beane has somewhat admitted that. Like, that's what you do. He's like, our first goal is to construct a roster to win our division. Right now, that's not going so hot. New England's got sole possession of the lead. I do think that changes. I don't know, though. New England's humming. Conversation for another day. But the second part of that is they've built a team that can beat Kansas City because they've lost 4 playoff games to them, right? In a very short span of years. What, 4 in 5 or 6 years? 4 and 5, I think.
4 and 5, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the team, right? We know that, obviously. And the only thing that gives me hope is the reason they're struggling against other teams is because they built this team to beat the Chiefs and everyone's running it down their throats and whatnot. And they're struggling to stop that and stymie the run. And that's been one of the biggest downfalls of the Buffalo Bills defense. But they still modeled this team to contend with the Chiefs. So it's not going to shock me on November 2nd when Kansas City goes to Buffalo and Buffalo wins the football game. Right. That doesn't mean it's going to happen again in January. And that's when you need it to happen if you're Buffalo. But like, that's the only thing that gives you hope that the Bills can contend with the Chiefs. Like, it's such a week-by-week league. The Bills really haven't played good football yet this year. They haven't. But it doesn't mean it's not in them. And they're 4-2, so they've put themselves in an okay spot still.
Yeah, it's too early to... I mean, we have a whole video about it. It's too early, I think, to overreact to what's happening with Buffalo, but Kansas City, you said it, right? They just feel all the way back. And you can tell because of I'm sure you saw it, right? Where they line up on 4th and 1 and Mahomes like fake trying to draw them offside and then yells over to the sideline like, this never freaking works, man. And it gets back under center and they snap it really quickly and they get a first down. I'm like, oh, they're back to being the Chiefs.
Yeah, the swaggers there.
They're just effing with people again. Like, that's who they are. they are toying with their food. I mean, guy, we'll talk about it more on Thursday, but Monday Night Football is going to be a massacre, unlike like we've never seen before, and I'm not looking forward to it. But Mahomes is playing at an extremely high level. He's far and away the MVP right now. The Raiders are a mess. I mean, I guess that's a segue into the bad teams. Like, I cannot believe Mike McDaniel still has a job. I think Pete Carroll's going to be one and done in Vegas. I don't think it's too early to say that. I think Aaron Glenn, I've said it for a couple weeks now, is going to be one and done in New York. They benched Justin Fields. I don't know where they go from there. Like, is Tyrod going to be the starter now?
That's a hokey.
Jets.
That's a prokey.
And I said for a couple weeks, I think that they should do that.
That man was playing college football in 2008.
Yeah, but clearly, I mean, dude, Unk still got it.
Unk still got it. Just like wrap your head around that, though. He's been a backup in the league, a consistent backup for like the last darn near 10 years.
Tyrod has had a very successful NFL career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, sometimes having a successful career in the NFL ain't like being Cam Newton, where you had like a 6-year prime and you were very good and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like being steady for 15 years and being a backup quarterback, not taking too many hits, still stacking some decent coin.
Man's made a lot of money.
Exactly. Tennessee was not frisky in what we thought could be a frisky game for them. The Patriots are humming. The 2025 Patriots are the 2025 Commanders. Oh, I have that backwards. The 2025 Patriots are the 2024 Commanders.
It's looking that way.
Like, it's not the greatest team in the world, but they're getting exceptional quarterback play and they're beating up on bad teams. That's going to be good enough to get them in the playoffs. And then we saw last year with Washington, if your quarterback makes plays and your defense steps up and makes a couple plays, you can win in the postseason. And they might host a playoff game. I don't think we're going to get there, but it's entirely possible. I mean, like, around Thanksgiving of last year, Washington was in the lead, and then they lost a few games. And of course, Philly went on that big winning streak. So anything's possible from here on out, but it's very
Buffalo.
It's very clearly a playoff team in New England, and they're punching above their weight. And Drake May is just playing ridiculous ball. I mean, he set the single game completion percentage record in Patriots history. That's a franchise that had the greatest of all time. So
if there's any, that's nuts.
Man, they don't
any
deserve
records
this.
to break Brady's, you know?
The Jets fans have got to be like sick to their stomach. They're like, dude, what? They just had Brady. Now they get May. Like, we've had 17 billion different quarterbacks. We can't get one. I really do think some franchises are just cursed. I think we can be classified as a bad team now.
The Commanders?
Yeah. Agree or disagree?
Really, really poor defense. I don't know about bad team. I still think when you have a quarterback, it gives you a shot. And when he's healthy, you got a heck of a quarterback. And you've shown a really nice ability to run the football. So I'm not ready to say
but
bad team.
Not with their current offensive personnel that's out there is the problem. Like, because they're starting you and I at wide receiver, these teams are stacking the box, playing man, daring you to beat them on the outside, and just selling out to stop the run. That's why Bill's been so quiet the last couple of weeks, is because,
for those that are new to the program, he's talking about the Washington Commanders. He thinks that he's actually on the sideline. He's not.
I am, dude. I got my play sheet. I'm like, all right, we're gonna go scatter to west, right, tight, F left. I could call a better defense than Joe Witt Jr. I'm damn sure of that. Yeah,
Rather the big cover 6 guy.
Nah, I like cover 3. I like the fact that we run cover 3. It's just when you run cover 3 with 3 imbeciles, it doesn't work.
If you were gonna run your own defense, what defensive scheme would you run? This is total side tangent.
I'd probably. Oh, that's a good question, because I like running like nickel packages.
Yeah,
but if you run nickel the way the Commanders run nickel, you have to have guys to fill the gaps. You have to have fast players on defense. And guess what? The Commanders are the oldest team in the league. They have Bobby freaking Wagner out there just
Not a
wasting space
speedster.
in the middle of the field. Like they are. I don't think they run the right personnel for the scheme that they have, and everything is just messed up. But yeah, I mean, the blueprint is out on how to beat the shorthanded Commanders. If there's no Terry, no Debo, just stack the box, play man, stop the run, force their guys to beat you. Newsflash, they can't. And there's only so much that Jaden can do. Obviously, he left with a hamstring injury. I don't know if he'll play on Monday.
That would really be unfortunate.
It would be.
Like
you'd have Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota throw into Robbie Anderson on primetime television. That's not what you want. We'll see how it progresses throughout the week, but I selfishly am kind of like, he needs to play. Like the season is squarely on the line. And if you can somehow pull out a win in Arrowhead, it can flip things around.
Yeah, it really can. Yeah.
But I also value his long-term health. I want to dispel this narrative that he's injury prone. He never missed a game in college, and if he were to miss Monday night, it would only be the third game he's ever missed in 27 NFL games. So I wouldn't call that injury prone. Like it just comes with the territory. You know, like Lamar has missed a ton of time because of his style of play.
Lamar misses a lot of time.
Every year, Lamar tweaks an ankle or pulls a hammy or has a calf strain or something. Like, it could be worse. And also, the play that Jaden got hurt on, that could have happened to anybody. If quarterbacks get hit low, that's what happens. And there maybe should have been a penalty on that. I don't know, but it happens to anybody. But you said it, man. The defensive situations become untenable in Washington. There's a million different things you could say about it. There's a million different things you can attest it to. But people are like, is it scheme? Is it personnel? I think it's a little bit of both. It's a problem when Marshawn Lattimore is like the best corner on the roster. It's a problem when Quan Martin is a starting safety on your team. They're really feeling a lot of the injuries everywhere. Dorrance Armstrong suffers a season-ending knee injury in this game. So boom, your best pass rusher is gone. Just like that. Both of your starting defensive ends are now out for the season.
Yeah.
Your starting safety broke his leg. What do you want from me? You know, both of your top wide receivers are out with no return in sight. Your starting running back tore his Achilles, may never play football again. There's just problem after problem after problem. I think if I was Washington, I'm not saying this is going to solve all the problems, but just because you have nothing to lose at this point at 3-4 with the worst conference record in the NFC. I don't know if you knew that. They're now 1-4 in the NFC, which is tied with the Saints for the worst record in conference.
I did see that.
I would just play your young guys, man. You're slow and old. Play your guys that are young and fast. Even if they're inexperienced, just see what you got. Listen, you lost Dorrance Armstrong for the season. Play Frankie Louvu off the edge and have Jordan McGee come in and play linebacker. Why did you draft him? Zach Ertz is slow and can't catch. Okay, you drafted Ben Sinnott in the second round. Put him in at tight end and just see what happens. You have guys that you've drafted that you refuse to play. Just play them. See, I understand
round tight end not playing is kind of crazy.
Robbie Anderson had more yards in the first quarter than Ben Sinnott has in his NFL career.
What's the point in drafting a tight end in the second round if he's not going to play?
Well, he's a hell of a blocker, but you drafted a blocking tight end in the second round. Like Adam Peters is the guy who drafted George Kittle. He brought in Ben Sinnott to be our George Kittle. The dude has 7 career catches. Like now, granted, that doesn't include the huge catch he had on a play nobody remembers. It's the fake punt in the NFC Championship game, but that didn't freaking matter. They lost that game by 30. So, like, I think this is the main thing with Washington. Their problems are not fixable in season. You know, so many times you can fire a coordinator or bench a player and that fixes everything. That's not the case in Washington. They can't, as much as I'd love to, you can't just fire Joe Witt and expect the defense to be amazing again. Like, the defense is going to stink regardless because it's the scheme and the personnel, like I said. So you can try and make some personnel adjustments and see what kind of impact that has. But these problems are not fixable in season. They're going to need to attack the off season hard. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the sky is falling, but it's like in Chicken Little where the first piece of the sky comes off. And Chicken Little has the, you know what I'm talking about? He has the one hexagon piece of the sky. And we have a few hexagons from the sky. So the sky is not completely fallen, but it's sure as hell starting to. And I don't know. Following up the dream season with the nightmare season it's not fun.
I feel you. If you look behind me, I feel you.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening in Syracuse right now. So
same thing.
I guess you get it.
Our Fran Brown is your Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
it's or Dan Quinn. It's the coach. But
yeah, the Kyle McCord's not walking through that door.
No. It's a little different though because their core. I do think if they had Steve Angeli, they would be probably much better. But.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much I didn't even mention. You know, Washington leads the league in drops. They, I think, lead, not a thumbs up, computer. Gosh dang it. I think they lead the league in penalty yardage per game. They had like 108 or something yards worth of penalties against Dallas. Again, they lead the league in drops. Defensively, they lead the league in yards allowed per completion. Offensively, they're 24th in third down conversions. They can't run the ball anymore because they're so beat up on the outside that teams can just sell out to stop the run. Like, it's all compounding, and it's crazy to think that 8 days ago we were riding high into Monday Night Football against the Bears coming off that Chargers win, because that feels like 15 years ago. The last thing I'll say is I think that maybe getting the guys back on offense will help, because that means, if anything, Washington can win shootouts with Jaden and Bill and Terry and Debo. But this defense is like it's a problem you can't recover from. This just feels like it feels like Burrow having terrible defenses. Like, there's just nothing you can do about it. So the difference is Washington has a defensive-minded head coach and not Zach Taylor. So you would think it'd be like if the Bills had a bad defense. It'd be like, where did that come from?
Well, they do.
But
they do.
They do now. So hey, I guess we can bond over that. But yeah, I've reached the season is over part of the season way earlier than I thought I was going to.
You can get it all back if you beat Kansas City this weekend. That's the fortune.
100% true. Listen, again, I said it last week. I thought we'd be 4-4 after 8 games. It's still on the table. I just didn't think it would look like this. My problem is the rest of the schedule is still a gauntlet. Like,
yeah,
they play the Chiefs on Monday night. Then they play the Seahawks and they play the Lions.
Good riddance.
Then they go to Madrid, come back off the bye, play the Broncos. You still play the Eagles twice. You play the Vikings. The Giants are not going to be an easy out. So it's not easy. And all these games are on national television. So the world has to see us get embarrassed.
That's what happens when you go to the NFC Championship the year before.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even win the division, so they're playing a second place schedule. It's just that the NFC North and AFC West are so difficult. So
right.
I wish I could be the Indianapolis Colts and just run through teams that are bad and stack wins to get to 6-1. But so much of the NFL is who you play, when you play them. Like, kudos to the Colts. I'm not just going to say that they're stacking wins against bad teams. Their offense has been historically good, and they have the best record in the NFL. But you get what I mean. We all think the Chiefs are better than them, and the Chiefs are 4-3.
1,000%. I agree. I think that pretty much does it. A little bit of a different week this week, but that's what it felt like on Sunday.
Yeah, when you play 15 games and 14 favorites win, that's the way it goes. We can't sit here and be like, oh my God, I can't believe the Chiefs dropped another one. Like, the only upset was one that, I think we both predicted. Like, did you have the Bengals winning?
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't know why I would have picked that, but maybe I did.
I mean, that was the only one that happened, and I know that I bet it, so I must have picked it on the program. So a bit of a quiet one, but
where can the people find us?
Oh, they can find us in shambles, in tears, in the corners of bedrooms and bathroom floors, in the fetal position, crying into a tub of ice cream that we eat in one sitting because we have to eat our feelings. But
if the Bills lose to the Panthers this weekend, yes.
Yeah, losing to Andy Dalton will do that to a person. But in the case that we're not, elbow deep in the pint of Ben and Jerry's half baked, they can find us at Got It Covered FB on all social media platforms, featuring, by the way, a little bit of a visual refresh and update if you want to go check that out, because
yes, sir,
this man Giovanni Heater knows how to cook up some graphics, cook up some visuals. So a bit of a visual update at Got It Covered FB on all socials. You can find us there. If you want to tag along for our own journeys and whatnot, we're going through it a little. It's not even Halloween yet, and football's got us feeling some type of way, but
still haven't seen a win for any of my three teams. That's Virginia Tech, my alma mater, Syracuse, my hometown, and the Buffalo Bills, my hometown, kind of. Haven't seen a win since the third week of September. It's the third week of October, buddy. Bye weeks definitely have been mixed in there, but let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Hey, Tech's got a shot on Friday. We'll see.
So I'd like to think Buffalo should win on Sunday.
Yes, I think Buffalo will win on Sunday.
Yes.
But we'll find out. And regardless of what happens, we got them covered.
We got you covered.